to just say hello in the chat and let us know from where you are joining us today. My name is Ann Hage. I am the Director of Certification for the Bluegrass chapter of the IIBA, and I'd like to thank you on behalf of the chapter for taking time out of your schedules to join us today. So before we formally introduce our guest speaker, just a couple of housekeeping items. We will be sharing today some networking links as well as a special discount code for our upcoming study group in the chat. So please be sure and keep an eye out for those. Now, the special pricing for the certification chat attendees today does end on April 21st, which is a week from today, next Friday. So if you are planning on joining us for that study group, please be sure and register before that time so that you can take advantage of those special rates. So this certification chat is being held in tradition in the lead up to our business data analytics virtual study group, which will be taking place on Tuesday evenings beginning May 2nd and running through June 6th. And today we have a very special guest speaker, Bill Powell. Now, Bill is, as Aaron had mentioned previously, for those of you that are joining a little bit late, he is an IIBA certified business analyst professional, earning his CBAP in 2018, as well as his CBDA just last year, I believe. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Leader in this profession, he is also the president of the Bluegrass chapter of the IIBA. So we're very honored to have him here today to share his experience with us. So I think on that note, Bill, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Thanks, Ann. I
You're
appreciate everybody taking the time to come out and talk to us about really what is our passion. And that is both business analysis and business data analytics. The two of them commonly go hand in hand. Mostly because as business analysts, what we're doing is we're always really bringing clarity to a situation, and what best way to do that than with, sorry about my dog here, with analytics. Give me 1 second.
Okay. Seems like we had the pet interruption there, so.
Yes, dog treats.
And to give him a dog treat, that's a good one. Did you give him a dog treat there, Bill?
I kicked her out of my office.
Oh. All right.
She barking at a cat. Yeah, so again, because our passion is business analysis and our foundation's business analysis, it goes hand in hand with business data analytics, and that is storytelling with data and really bringing all of that information to the front so that it's understandable and easily consumed and digested by your stakeholders. So again, because my passion is both for the business analysis and also for analytics, that's why I went with my certification and have to say I've used it because I use it almost daily as a business analyst to be able to go out to whether it's Power BI or Excel and be able to put together charts or graphs to subsidize whatever we have requirements or user stories. So if we could, I mean, I'd be happy to open it up. I don't have any slides or anything presentation wise. One thing I do want to say before we start is the Bluegrass chapter is fantastic for supporting members with their certifications, working to get the certifications and mentoring them. We offer a fantastic boot camp, one for CBDA that is coming up. And with that, we there is a lot of hands-on where we actually help people develop a story with using data and presenting that. But So if we, yeah, but I'm happy. Let's go ahead and open up the chat if there's any questions. Anything that
Okay. All right, very well. If anybody has any questions for Bill in this, like we said, this is a chat between all of us and that.
Yeah.
So Bill's been through the process, has this certification. I just put out in the chat our upcoming study group that Ann talked about before. It starts in May to get this certification. You can come off mute, use your voice. If you'd like to use the chat, we'll feed the question to Bill. And you can ask anything about the exam, the certification process. This one does require recertification. Is it every year that it gets recertified, Bill?
Yep, every year.
So you need 20 CDUs.
Yeah, 20 additional CDUs. The good thing is that with like the other certifications through the IIBA, you can log your hours and on the website that they have for the IIBA.org. So you can manage all of that out there once you accomplish. And then from there, the certification process is pretty simple.
And we've been asked before, so I'll go ahead and answer in that for like Bill and I that have multiple IIBA certifications. If you go to one event, such as the Bluegrass chapter is having an event that covers data analysis, you can use that one event and it would give you 1 or 1.5 CDUs for both your CBAP or CCBA and your CBDA and possibly your AAC as well. So it's like 3 birds with 1 stone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I know another common question, kind of keeping along those terms, is for those of you who have, gone through the certification process for either your CCBA or CBAP. I know there are a lot of times questions about a work requirement and whether or not those kinds of hours are required for the CBDA as well. So, I believe the answer to that is no. Is that correct, Bill?
I don't remember there was I don't think there's a work requirement now.
Yeah.
No, it was just, I think there is an education
correct.
requirement and an additional, let's see, it was educational requirement. And then I think there was additional, like self-study stuff.
Yeah.
But most of that can be knocked right out with one study group or boot camp. And the idea of it, like a lot of the IIBA certifications is, it's a holistic exam, being that the majority of the information you're going to find in the IIBA books, or you'll find it in the boot camps, but some of it's also, they will lean on you for the last maybe a few questions on just experience that you've received in your job or in your career, things that might help with it. But I can't emphasize enough the value of all these IIBA certifications, because it forces you really to jump into both feet and immerse yourself in this. And it makes you a much stronger analyst. And the more certifications you have with that, they kind of feed they feed each other, I should say. And like I said, with the CBDA, as working for data analytics, that really helps to support the business analysis side of it, and vice versa, depending on which side you're on. As a business analyst, the other thing for it is that it really helps you to understand more when you're working with developers and architects as to what the jargon is that they're using and what it represents and how it impacts the project. So both sides of it, I think they complement each other significantly, as well as the AAC that I also have for agile analysis. As this world moves more towards agile and lean, which I think it needs to, they all really complement each other. And I haven't looked, was there any questions in the chat?
Yes, we have several questions. So why don't we start addressing some of those? So the first question is from Amir, and he's asking regarding the exam, what is your best advice in terms of exam prep, and how many hours would you recommend?
The best way to prepare, number one, is definitely the study group or the boot camp. Understanding what it is, what's listed in the IIBA book. I believe there was a couple of them. One primary one though, and it's the Guide to Business Data Analytics. Understanding the techniques, why you would use the techniques, when you would use the techniques, understanding that the goal, no matter what, is providing accurate and clear charts, like visualizations. And a lot can go into that with which chart or diagram to use when, colors, how much information you're delivering, because you typically want to try to keep it as simple as possible. I would again, the study group and the Guide to Business Data Analytics, as far as reading that thing back and forth, probably a couple times. I did a lot of independent study. I did 2 boot camps, well, 1 study group, 1 boot camp, and total study time. I'm not necessarily the best example because I really want to make sure I ace it. So I probably put in like, I don't know, a couple hundred hours of study. So mostly also because not only was I in it to pass the exam, but also I was really looking at it as a practitioner to actually get as much value out of it as I could, so that I really could complement my role as a BA in communicating a lot of requirements, because requirements don't have to necessarily be text. A lot of times you're going to have artifacts such as diagrams that are going to support all of that. So yeah, I would say on average, I think most people do probably 100 hours. Maybe less. Some people I know that have done it, which are very quick learners, which I am not. Again, because I like to immerse myself in it. Maybe, I don't know, 40 or 50 to 100. While the boot camp itself, our study group is, I think, a total of like 8 hours right there. Actually, I think it was more than 8. I think it was
That's
like
6 sessions, and then I think 2 hours each session. Is that correct? So
Yeah.
maybe 12 hours, something like that. 2 and a
Yeah.
half, maybe 15 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And then on top of that, we provide homework for people to take away, and then also additional tasks to accomplish, so that when they come back, then we can, if there's questions, we also ask them in the end to present to the entire class the story that they've created and the whole background of how they got from beginning to end. And it's interesting to see how people approach it. Again, the number one key is keeping it simple, because your audience, really depending on your audience, keeping it simple, because also specifically the more noise you put into your diagrams or charts, the more opportunity there is for someone to misunderstand it. And if they misunderstand it, they may take action in the wrong way and go off in the wrong direction. That's the last thing you would want to have happen.
So getting the message across effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep it
Succinctly.
clear, keep it simple, absolutely. But with that, again, the value of being able to use visuals to help tell your story of where you want this project to go for people to understand. Yeah. I think that answered that question.
Yeah,
next
and I
one.
think you might have answered the next one as well, which was what is the recommended reading for passing the exam? And I think you already
Yeah, I would
mentioned that.
Yeah, we have additional, the IIBA even provides, I believe, additional information that you can read, any self-study. All of that really does help you as a practitioner, to develop a more wholesome understanding of how it all comes together. But that is definitely the primary document to read.
All right, great. Thank you, Bill. We've got another question, similar lines, but not really about the reading, but more about what level of expertise with data visualization tools would be required and which tools are preferred.
I would say our required is probably none. Preferred, I would say, depending on how far you're going into it, Excel, Tableau, Power BI, but do you have to have experience with it? No.
Not to pass the exam, right?
No, not to pass the exam. As a practitioner, yeah, you're going to need, because you're going to need to be able to move data around. You're going to need to be able to merge and pull it apart and that sort of thing so that you can create your visualizations. Probably the most common and probably one of the most powerful is Excel. Because everybody has it, everybody somewhat knows it, and so you're able to deliver pretty good pivot charts, and most people are going to be able to open it up. Although in a lot of cases, you're gonna probably print it to a PDF because you don't want people poking around in it and messing it up. So to answer your question, for the exam, certainly you don't need expertise. Because the exam, I mean, it can take you from beginning to, from basic to advanced. And the more you are immersed in it and doing it, the more you're going to learn about that. Because there's always going to be hundreds of scenarios that come up with data that you won't necessarily learn it all overnight, but the idea of the CBDA is that as a practitioner, you learn the general theory.
So a basic understanding of data, how to use data from an analytical standpoint, certainly no in-depth, real knowledge or using specific tools like Tableau or Power BI or any of those are necessary, and that it's geared for somebody with the certification is really targeted to those with maybe 1 or 2 years of data experience. Would you say, Bill?
Yeah, I would think so. But those that have less than that, I mean, you can pass the exam if you understand the concept that's taught in the book, and that is going to allow you to move a lot further with your experience, so that you can understand more so of how it's being used and why it's being used. From my perspective, it's always subsidizing the BA role. So to me, it's invaluable.
And the book that Bill is referring to is the Guide to Business Data Analytics from IIBA. Yeah, I'm glad you got it there because I don't. And it's one they do. IIBA members can download that for free in PDF format from the IIBA website. So a membership benefit. IIBA members, if you're interested in getting this certification, we do have a study group starting in May, to help you get this. And we truly train the students to prepare to pass that exam. And that's the way our study group is structured in that. And I see Ann just gave you the discount code and the link to the upcoming study group there. It'll meet weekly on Tuesday evenings 6 sessions. The final session is a practice exam, and we got all the CBDAs in our chapter together, and we wrote questions. So people who have been there and taken that exam came up with this question bank that we use, and so we feel it's pretty close to the actual exam. Should be a really good gauge as to how much time after the study group you may need to study more, how close you were ready to take the actual exam. So that question that was up earlier about how much time and how to prepare, everybody's a different type of learner, whether you're virtual or a visual learner or cognitive learner, whether you like the structure of a study group and studying with others, or if you're a loner and like to study on your own, self-paced, whatever works for you. And that if you saw in the chat, somebody asked about the study group and whether there's recordings. All the sessions are recorded and they are available to study group participants, so there is a charge to the study group. Another IIBA membership benefit is members pay less than non-members. With that discount that Ann put in the chat, that discount code there, you pay even less. It's an additional discount just for you being here today. And that discount code, so it's easy to remember. This is the CBDA certification chat. So CBDA cert chat and today's date, 4/14. That's your code.
Speaking about CBDA chat, there are a couple of questions in the chat from some of our participants today asking about the ECBA certification. And that is that's the entry certificate into business analysis. And this particular chat is really focused on the business data analytics. So I think let's go ahead and address the questions that are, specific to that certification, and make sure we get through those. And then we can see if there's time left to see if there are specific questions that we may be able to help you out with or direct you in the, to a place that can help get you the answers that you're looking for. There is a question, Bill, about how you've been able to use the knowledge that you obtained from your certification in practice. So, I know you said that is something that you do utilize in your current role. So if you could maybe describe that a little bit and how that transitioned over from textbook to workplace.
Absolutely. Again, as a business analyst, you're telling what you're doing is you're collecting in all this information, you're synthesizing it, and what you're doing ultimately is you're selling it back to your stakeholders. And to be able to use anything to subsidize that to help give them clarity makes a huge difference. So as a subsidizing artifact, if I'm able to pull data somewhere and provide them a chart or a diagram, and it's something that they're real easily able to consume and digest. What it does is it quickly brings everyone onto the same page of understanding what it is that I'm trying to tell them about the direction we need to go with maybe a specific initiative. So again, just about, a lot of people can create diagrams and or charts, but it's about using the correct one for the correct situation and really making it so that it's clear to communicate. It's not too. I'll give you an example. At one time, I ran it was a dashboard for all of the metrics for our IT department, and I found three-dimensional graphs and thought, oh, this is the coolest thing. They look so cool, everything about it. Problem was, though, is that they may have looked cool, but nobody understood what I was trying to tell them. And then there was another time where I started putting stuff information on both the X and Y axis, or I had two things on the Y axis of a diagram. So in other words, I started packing as much in, thinking, oh, the more I can put into this diagram, the more information I'm able to communicate with just one diagram. But then as I gave it to my audience, they were all so confused what I was trying to tell them. And well, that really kind of was pointless because I was trying to tell them, communicate something and make it clear. So I learned, one of the things I learned specifically from the CBDA is to keep it simple, keep it clear. Don't try and tell too much information with one diagram. It's the colors, you want to keep them soft so that it's not overwhelming. You don't want their eyes floating over to something that you didn't intend to. You want them focused on the primary information you're communicating. So in the end, what it really results in is clear, it would be clear information, a clear artifact to support my requirements or user stories. But also, as any projects in IT, you're always working with the developers and the architects. And again, one of the other things I was able to take away from it is a lot of understanding of the jargon, which made a big difference, so that I was able to follow along with what and contribute to those conversations on both the business analysis side and the business data analytics side. Kind of going back to what we talked just a little bit about with these different certifications, the advantage to these certifications is it tells the world, as a business analyst or a data analyst or a product owner, it tells them by having this certification that you care enough about what you do, that you've honed your skill and you've gone out and you've become certified. And they'll learn that from you over time. But as a first impression, it tells people right up front, I care enough about what I do that I've actually certified in it. It's not easy to get the certifications, but I think well worth it. It's a huge investment in yourself, and what better to invest than in yourself, because it will, it helps to bring clarity both to what you're taking in and what you're putting out.
Great point. You know, we've talked a lot about, you know, what it takes to become certified, but, you know, that added context of the value that it brings and the message that it sends, I think is also something very important, because that is also kind of an unexpected benefit that I, you know, found from my certification, is just the respect and the credibility that certification brings you to a workplace, and it affords you new opportunities. And for those who have worked with you for a period of time, they already know your capabilities. But if you're looking to advance your career either in or outside of your current workplace, you know, that says something about, like Bill said, you know, that you care enough about what you do to kind of formalize that skill set and put in the investment that it takes, time and, you know, not just a monetary investment, but the time that it takes, because it's not, you know, some of these certifications are not easily obtained, and they do require, you know, quite a bit of time outside of study groups and, you know, through self-guided learning and things like that. So it does say something about your commitment to the profession. That's
Absolutely.
something to keep in mind.
It definitely pays dividends. Like you said, the respect that you get right up front when you sit down at the table in a meeting with people, to be able to know right up front that they have certifications tells you that they know the theory, at least, of it. But also as a practitioner, that it also covers possible scenarios that you've not run across before in the past. And even if you've done something 1,000 times, there may be those one-offs that you haven't. And so this will give you that exposure to understand that theory. Also with it, you know, all the networking and I mean, I had a lot of fun when going through the CBDA. This was by far my favorite one that I was looking forward to doing because my passion for data and spinning it and using it to tell a story. So I was very excited about that one. All the certifications that the IIBA offers, I'm very impressed with them because it's thousands of hours of and years of experience, like from all these different practitioners that they've pulled all together into one place and captured it. And so that's really our mission, is to share the best practice with the world. So very proud of what our chapter has accomplished with offering these study groups.
Same. Are there any other questions for Bill? I believe we've gone through the questions that were related to the data analytics. And for those of you that didn't see my post, I apologize. I had referenced the Agile Analysis Study Group previously when giving you the discount code. The discount code is correct, but the study group to which it referenced was not. So the discount code that's in the chat is for the business data analytics study group that will be starting in just a couple of weeks. And again, that code is going to be good through next Friday. You will be able to get that additional discount that Aaron mentioned earlier on top of the IIBA special pricing. And so if you're planning on joining this study group, please make sure to register before next Friday to take full advantage of those discounts that are afforded to you as an IIBA member.
Now, guests can use that discount as well. And that it's the same code, whether you're an IIBA member or not a member. There's 2 registration levels, and the same code works on both of those. So
thank you.
Please use the correct, which one is to whether you're an IIBA member or not. And that is just a benefit of IIBA membership. And I would say if you are truly interested in getting this, in particular, if you feel you're going to get this certification this year, I absolutely recommend IIBA membership, because not only the discount to our study group, but you get exam fee discounts from IIBA that will pay for your first year of IIBA membership. It absolutely makes sense. As well as, going forward, the fee to recertify this and all IIBA certifications are less for members versus non-members, or what we call guests. So, IIBA membership makes sense, especially when you're getting certified.
Yep.
Do you see we had a queen here? Queen Gill is here.
I think also the other big advantage to being a member is the networking. I personally, I could say, I've met so many awesome people in the industry that I'm in, the business I'm in, and it's always awesome. Not to mention the opportunity where you hear about other things that are going on, but it's also awesome to be able to bounce ideas off of people all the time. And people outside maybe your organization. That's the other thing about it, is that a lot of companies do things, they kind of home grow stuff, and they do things maybe a little bit different. So it's good to get a perspective of people from other organizations.
So
Okay.
Bill, just for those people that did kind of reference the ECBA and how that, kind of ties into this, another common question that we get is it necessary to have one of the business analysts or business analysis certifications prior to getting or working towards the certification in business data analytics? Is that a prerequisite?
No, not at all. Absolutely not. It helps. It would probably help you with certain understandings, but no, it is by far, they are separate from one another. It just happens to be that I find they complement each other so much. Same with the Agile, the AAC, same thing, they kind of complement, but they are absolutely not necessary to complete the CBDA. As a matter of fact, I mean, a lot of times it's pretty common that the data analytics side of it is completely separate from business analysis. Data analytics usually being more in like the business informatics groups, but in business analysis, others, but no, it is not, to answer your question.
I think too, a lot of times, you know, sometimes there's a little bit of confusion between being a data scientist and earning a certification in business data analytics. And, you know, data scientist, you know, is it's a highly skilled position that people go to school for a lot of years for. And that's, you know, that's a little bit different than the certification that you'll be earning in business data analytics. Does it help? Sure. Are you going to become a data scientist after having been certified in business data analytics? Yeah, so, you know, that's a little bit of confusion that we've heard from a couple of study group participants and people that have, you know, asked about the study group and things like that. So they're, you know, two complementary but very different
Absolutely.
things.
Yeah. I mean, I can take a class on medical taxonomy and stuff. Doesn't mean that I'm going to walk away with an MD. You're right. I mean, you need to be realistic about that. What this shows, what this is all about is the theory of how you take data and you would use it ultimately to complete your mission and tell a story with that data. A lot of times to subsidize a project, but more so, it's usually about communicating and supporting a project or a mission, setting up dashboards, that kind of thing. Yeah, again, this was by far of all, this was my favorite, just because I'm kind of a data nerd that I have always enjoyed using Excel and Power BI, just to be able to pull together massive amounts of data and tell a simple story with it. I'm just looking at the stuff that's coming up in the chat. The link for the spring business data analytics study group is not working.
Yeah, I just saw that. It should be working.
It's working for me, but I did put the URL for our, you know, our website on there. If for whatever reason you're not able to use that direct link to the event, it should be working. I just tried it, but for whatever reason you're not able to, you can try our Bluegrass link and then navigate to the events section.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one great thing too about our study group is that because, you know, we love talking about this stuff anyways, but so if there's any questions that come up as you're going through your homework and any questions as you're going through the material, we're always happy to talk about it, even offline.
And you could tell them one of the big student exercises we do in the study group is that data exercise that we have, and that, so it's analyzing data. And we're from Kentucky, so guess what it's based on?
Horse racing.
Bourbon. Oh, sorry.
Bourbon, yeah. No, the other thing we're known for.
Yeah, that's right.
So, in particular, the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have the data set to work with and everything, and it's 10 years of Kentucky Derby results. And anybody who knows the Kentucky Derby, the horse that had the odds of 20 to 1 won last year. So, you know, that's long odds to win and you know,
It was that was a gift from the universe for us teaching about data analytics, because it just goes to show that you can't always use necessarily one key performance indicator, which was the odds, because in this case, the one that had probably the worst possible odds won. And so that's what this is all about, is gaining insights from data.
Yeah.
And being able to put that together, maybe for a bigger picture. So yeah, that was a really good one that we were very happy about, just because it really supported the whole point of what we were trying to teach.
Yep.
So yeah, that was wonderful. Did we have any more
I
questions?
am not seeing any other questions. And put her email address out there.
Yep. And my LinkedIn also, if anyone, there was a question on how they can best contact or communicate with any of us after the chat. So I put my LinkedIn and the email address for the certification with the Bluegrass chapter.
And if anyone has any questions for me, you can email me. I'm just saying it's president@bluegrass.iiba.org.
Oh, and I guess I gotta tell too, so I am finance, so I would be finance at bluegrass.iiba.org. And there's my LinkedIn. Okay.
Very nice.
I guess we can bring this to a close, Ian.
Yep. And I believe everyone who joined today should be getting an email tomorrow with a link to the recording. Is that correct, Aaron?
Yes.
Yeah. So you'll have access to this recording in the future. And, you know, we hope to see some of you at our upcoming study group.
Remember that you have 1 week to get registered using that discount code.
Yep.
We also have our monthly presentation coming up a little bit later this month, and it is, I believe, to do with the CBDA part of it. With I can't remember the specifics other than it was going to be to do with data, and it's free as well. So if you go out to our site for Bluegrass,
Our chapter meeting.
yeah, isn't it? I thought it was to do.
It's Ready Player One with Jennifer Batten.
Yes.
So it's about gamification, or basically collaborative games. So some of that could be data.
Absolutely. Everything's data. Believe it or not, everything is data. So, and it's free, that presentation, and it's virtual or in person, whichever you'd prefer.
This is the one that Bill's referencing right here. So if any of you are interested in taking a look at that, again, all of these events are available from our Bluegrass IIBA website. So yeah, we look forward to networking. Is fun, as Bill mentioned. That's you know, part of why we all volunteer to, you know, keep the profession going and have these opportunities. So again, thank you everybody for joining. Have a wonderful Friday and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being here.